All right, guys, welcome back. How you guys doing? Yeah? So you enjoying yourself so far? Good stuff? So let's start taking this a little bit forwards. I would like for you to start using this skill to be able to revivify experiences you don't even know they've had. Wouldn't that be interesting? Right? We'll build a certain skill set which we'll be using later on in the week. For now, what I'm going to do is we're going to start this very softly. Remember when we talked about the trance experiences, they gave you personal trance words and so on? What I'd like you to do now is get together with someone else, and we're going to start exactly the same way. We're going to start with the HR, the hypnotic rapport. This time when you explore, I would like for you to ask them about a pleasant activity that they have done or would like to do. The kind of activity we're looking for is something which is calming and soothing rather than energizing and exciting. All right? I mean things like maybe reading, relaxing on a beach, going for a walk, climbing a mountain, although that can be a little bit of both, right? So it's a soothing, calming thing, a pleasant scene. They may have had the experience, or they may just want to have the experience, but they've actually experienced it themselves. Does that make sense? And we're looking for something that has a lower, calmer energy than a higher, more excited energy. Although we can work with both, it just makes your life easier for now. Easy? Do you get the kind of scenes I'm talking about, or the kind of experiences? Just shout out some examples of the kind of stuff we're talking about.
Massage.
A massage would be great, exactly.
Vacation.
A vacation, what kind of vacation? A vacation to the beach, for example, the Bahamas, for example, great. On a sailboat, chilling out on a sailboat. Say again? Scuba diving, again, excellent, all right? So you got a good idea of where we're coming from with this, right? Now, the key here is this is the interesting part. It does not matter whether or not they've actually had the experience. What matters is that if they've had it, they've enjoyed it, it was pleasant. And if they have not had it, they would like to have it, and to some extent could imagine what that might be like. Does that make sense? Now, when we get to this area here, you will have really nothing to echo because, well, they haven't told you anything other than just the big picture thing, right? So now it's up to you to create the experience by talking about things that would normally be there. Does that make sense? Here's where you have to be subtle. Remember the language softness? If the item or the experience that you want to talk about does not absolutely have to be there as part of the experience that they are mentioning, then you need to soften it. Here's what I mean. For example, on a beach, what will absolutely exist on a beach?
Sand.
You sure about that? I've been on a few pebble beaches. Water. Right? Water. A beach without water is called a desert. Right? So you're pretty sure that there'll be some water there. If there's water there, what else is likely to be there? Sky, waves. Even it might be calm, you'll be able to hear. There'll be sounds, right? There'll be sounds of water. It may be a rushing of the surf, or it might be a quiet lapping of the surf. You don't know yet. Do you see the difference? Will there absolutely have to be a breeze? Have you ever been to a beach that has not had a breeze? Anyone? Where's this come? So breeze is where we go into the next step, which is very important. So thank you for bringing that up. If you want to introduce an item that is probably going to be there, we're talking about things like a breeze, like sand, like sun, right? It's very likely going to be there, but you're not absolutely sure. Then you're going to throw in your language softness to make it more acceptable. Make sense? So, I'd like to, you can do it any way you want. You can actually talk about the second person, put yourself there on a beach. It's, in the present tense, it's a beautiful day, yada, yada, yada. Or you can talk about your own experiences as though they're having it. It doesn't really matter so much. Let's go with a simple version. Describe the thing to them. You're at the beach. Perhaps there is sand there, right? Now watch their reaction. If they're sitting there going, ah, do you think they've accepted the idea? Right? If they go like, are they accepting the idea? Or perhaps there's something else. It is something else, isn't it? Yes. What is it? It's pebbles. Do you see where we're going with this? Now you're starting to combine all the skills you've been putting together so far. Using your language eloquently to describe a rich scene. You're using your language softness to offer possibilities and let them choose something. And when they've selected something, you'll watch their body language to see which one they're selecting. If you're offering a possibility and you can see they've actually gone for it and you go, I think it might be pebbles, don't you? You go, yes, that's right. If they say no, it goes, no, of course not. It isn't pebbles. So whatever it is, you're right. Make sense? And if you're not sure, then just ask them, well, what is it? Well, it's sand. It's yellow sand. Great. Do you see how we're going with this? And the air has a certain temperature. Would I be right about that? I wonder if it's warm or cool. And you might even pause. I wonder if it's warm. Or is it a little bit cool? Which one is it? Right? Do you see where we're going with this? So whenever there is a possibility that you're wrong, you'll throw in a language softener. Make sure that these things you stack the deck in your favor. Don't start putting rhinos on a beach, right? Unless you're going to Africa, it's probably very unlikely that's going to happen. Stick to things that are likely to be here, like warmth on a beach, like sand on a beach and so on. In a woodland environment, you're likely to have green stuff like leaves. You may have some fruit on the trees, maybe not. You may have some animals skimping by. You'll probably have some dappled sunlight. But it doesn't have to be that way, right? It could be winter. And it could be fir trees with needles rather than leaves. Do you see where I'm going with this? Every time that you're not entirely sure, in other words, if you can't read the signals in terms of what they're agreeing to, just ask them, which is it? Right? Or is it something different? And they'll respond, and you can tell me, what is it? Oh, it's fir trees. That's right. All those fir trees. And there's a smell, isn't there? Do you see where we're going with this? So, other than that, you're doing exactly the same thing. Present tense. The echo is now replaced by a description. You're only ever going to offer one description at a time, so you get to observe their reaction to see whether they accept the description or not. If it absolutely has to be there, like temperature absolutely has to be there in the air, then throw it out there and the air is a certain temperature. If you're not sure what it's going to be, but it's likely to be one thing over another, for example, it's likely to be warm rather than cold, or cool rather than warm, and you can then put a language softener. Maybe it's warm. It could be warm. Perhaps it's warm. I wonder if it's warm. Do you see where we're going with this? Then watch their reaction. If you still can't tell, ask. Is it warm? No. Of course it isn't. Whatever they say then, you agree with. Of course it isn't. It's more cool, isn't it? Yes. It's a more cooling sort of temperature. And I wonder if there's a breeze there as well. Yes, there is a breeze, isn't there? A cool breeze. How pleasant to have a cool breeze. Do you see where we're going with this? So really, all we're doing is we're tying together a whole bunch of stuff we've been doing over the last 2 days and putting it together in one. Do you think you guys can do that? You want to see a quick example of the setup for it? Right? I won't do the whole thing because I want you guys to kind of discover a little bit of it. But who'd like to come up here and volunteer for all the setup? Anyone? You've already been up here. Come on up. Give her a round of applause. Hey, Cassandra, come on, have a seat. You good? Yeah. HR check? Yes? Okay. So, what kind of, is there a kind of a scene or a holiday or some experience you've had that's pleasant, or something you'd like to experience that's kind of pleasant and soothing?
Well, I do enjoy the mountains here in LA.
You enjoy the mountains here in LA?
I enjoy the mountain view, just standing on them.
The mountain view in LA. Have you been to the mountain view in LA?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So which mountain view have you been to in LA?
It's up in Bel Air.
Thank you. That's all I need. I don't want too much because otherwise I'll accidentally go into revivification, right? So now I'm going to take the concept. I'm actually going to take it out of LA. Why? Because I don't want to revivify too much of her experience. I want to start creating new ones. So I'm going to stick with the theme of mountain experience, right? So maybe you just want to close your eyes for this one and just experience something on a mountain with a view. Perhaps it's daytime. Is it daytime? Right? And there's that view. So far, isn't it? That's right. And it's a pleasant view, isn't it? On that mountain. A certain temperature in the air. I wonder if it's warm. Or it's cool, isn't it? Did you see the reactions? Right? So if you get the DVD, you'll see it. Ha ha ha! The reaction was, I wonder... the question was, I wonder if it's warm, and the response was a very tiny, right? It was a real slow little shake. And I said, of course it isn't, it's cool, right? You're doing what we just talked about. We're just watching the nonverbal signals, right? And they have a vested interest in telling you because the experience gets quite nice. So whenever you're ready, Cassie, feel free to bring yourself back. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Give a nice round of applause. I don't want to do too much of it just because otherwise I'm sitting here doing all the work, and I'd rather you guys explore different ways of doing it for yourself. As a rule, if you see too much, then it stifles you because you're trying to do what you saw rather than what you should be doing, which is doing it your own way. The keys are very simple. You saw the HR, the meet and greet, right? You saw a simple exploration. We've got a theme. This is a mountain theme in this case, right? An experience, shall we say. I've removed myself from the actual memory of the experience because I want to actually create an experience. You heard me switch scenes, right? Switch pace, shall we say. In terms of the exercise, by all means, time to close their eyes and experiences. You can do it pretty overtly because we're just training wheels for something else right now. So I don't mind if it's not conversational. If you want to do it conversational, that's fine too. Instead of echoing, now I'm describing. You heard the language softeners when I wasn't too sure. I'm paying attention to their reactions so I know what to run with. And if I'm not entirely sure, I ask a question and get a clear response. Does that make sense? Is that easy to do? Yes? Yes? No? Yes? All right, guys, find a partner. Just spend literally about 5 or 6 minutes apiece because we want to take this further later on, okay? Off you go.